Hello everybody, my name is Christian Quick and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about world placement, making a golem entity. A golem entity is simply a creature that can be summoned in the world by placing blocks in a particular pattern. They also need a key block, which is what we're technically making, and we'll talk about all that stuff, but that is what we're making. I recorded this with the cement block at the same time, so if I say anything about before, I'm probably talking about the cement block video, so if you want to check that out, that's all up to you. But with that all in mind, let's get on with the video. So now let's make the golem entity. Alright, here we are back in the code, and we are ready for the second part. So first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have a new block, and let's call this the summoning block. We're gonna make it. So first off, with our summoning block, we can literally just call it summoning block. I'm a little less creative, I guess. Not feeling the creation today. Um, summoning block. All right, so it now has all this stuff, and with a summoning block, we are not going to be calling the where it's coming from because it is going to be a block on its own. We can keep it just like this, just your very basic block, because what it is doing is summoning. That's all it does. I could probably say, let's say the breaks instantly, and then we could do material dot something like light. We'll say aggregate breaks instantly, and then we'll add a loot table that it can drop itself. So onto the summoning block. So the summoning block comes down into, let's take a look at the carved pumpkin block. Here we are. So here is the code for the carved pumpkin block. It is a lot more separated. We are going to have to talk about the shapes in a moment, but for the most part, let's go back into our code here, and we are in here. So let's make a new Java class. We're going to call this summoning block. We're going to OK. Let's go into our carved pumpkin block, and you know what we're doing from the base all the way to the top. And we're going to even copy the extends, and then from here, Control V. There is going to be a couple problems, perfectly fine. So from here, we're going to get this carved pumpkin, and we're going to call it summoning. Boop. And then suddenly, hey, it still says that there is a problem. I would assume is where this isn't a return, but we're going to call it back for its own class. So let's say summoning block. It might say that it's private, I'm assuming. Yeah. So sometimes when this gets created, a lot of things will be like, it's okay, but sometimes it'll say it has private access, and that means you can't use it. You can't take something from another class and put it in your class. But it is still a very good idea that when things are still public, to make sure that everything is in your class is still being used by your class. And I'll try and show you what I mean by that. So let's say summoning block. Oh wait, right here. So this does not say that. So this has public access, not private access. This has private. This is public. So when I have this, the breaking block pattern, because it is public. This being public, it will not say that there is an error. However, I would suggest that you want to change this to your block, because when you spawn an entity, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing in your block stays within your block stuff. So I'm going to take the block pattern of my block. I'm going to update the pattern by my block, and I'm going to do all this fancy stuff. I want to make sure that everything that is dealing with my block, and let's say I forgot something. So I forgot something down here. I'm going to leave that on purpose. Actually, I'm going to copy it just to make it easier. Control C. And then, so that is actually the only instance that I, quotes, forgot. If there is more than one instance coming up, the only place where I would first say that it is okay is up here at the top. If you're looking for something that you need to change. So let's call this the summoning block and call it a day. So now we have everything. And so if I put in this block, one problem, summoning block, I'm going to import the class. Beautiful. Now we have this summoning block, so it can stop and leave me alone about it. this summoning block is going to work just like a carved pumpkin. The carved pumpkin is the block that is summoning the entity. It is not the iron. It is not the other blocks. Now I still kept my Minecraft world open, so let's hop in the world and kind of show you what I mean. This is a lot easier to explain with the Iron Golem because there is a lot of shapes. Everyone knows you make the arms and the legs, and then you put the carved pumpkin on top. Beautiful. If you didn't know, because the pattern doesn't matter, if I try and make him upside down like this, it'll still work. And even if I do it sideways, it'll still work. But now, if I try and do this, I'm going to put the carved pumpkin, I'm going to put a little piece of iron, and now I'm going to put a little piece of iron on this side. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because it has to be the pumpkin. The pumpkin is what is, when the pumpkin is placed, it is what is checking to make sure. Same thing for the golem, the snow golem. I put the snow golem on, and he gets summoned. It's great. If I have this, I place pumpkin, and then I place this, it won't work. But suddenly if I fix that, then suddenly it starts working. So the carved pumpkin is the most important part. It is your head center piece, and it's going to need to check for other blocks in your world to figure out what it means. So let's continue using the iron golem, for example. So when we have our, let's look up a crafting table real quick. When I have a crafting table, when I make a recipe, if I said okay, here's an interesting example. Let's grab some of this. So a bucket says, I need to have things in this shape. But what is being called in here? It's air. So how do I write that? Well, you would have to mark that what you have is air, and we're going to use basically a crafting table style, and we're going to mention that when we're talking about this 3x3 area, that these little things here are air, right? So this is the full design of it. So crafting table, it has to be air now. So we're going to use our crafting table as my reference here. So this is the pattern that we are talking about, like this, and we're going to say the crafting table is the air. So let's take a look at the try summon. So there's your snow golem, your iron golem. So now let's go into the iron golem pattern. So you'll notice that here it says, here is your block pattern builder. And so it is saying that if I have this pattern here, like this, here is the key. If the symbol is this, it is going to have to be matches the is head predicate. That is talking about basically block.this. Let's see if it has to point to this block. State is of, and then right now it says blocks.carved pumpkin, jack-o'-lantern. This is actually not true. The head predicate that we want to make it is we want this to be mod blocks dot summoning block, and then we need to do a little, I didn't mean to get rid of that extra one. So now when it says the head predicate, it is now going to be talking about the summoning block. So back at the bottom, it now says that when we have this thing, it's going to talk about the head predicate. So you can actually set this to be more than one block, but as long as it like becomes carved pumpkin, it's fine. So this little number symbol here, pound, whatever you feel like calling it, has to be iron block. So if we look in the pounds here, it is basically saying that these three, and then actually let's look at the last one before we get into that, and then this little tilde, I think is what it's called, is basically saying material.air. So the tilde is going to be air, the pound is going to be iron block, and this is going to be the head. So now let's take a look at it like this. So I'm actually going to hit enter a couple times, and this is a good way to look at it. So this is that pattern, and as you can tell, it says that is the head predicate. It's saying that this pound is the iron block, and lastly, it says that this is going to be the air. So with that in mind, if we take a look at that and translate it onto here, the air is this, so where our crafting table is. So these are your air pieces, these little pounds, so it's got this and a little line here, so that is your iron golem, and then this is the headpiece. That is exactly how it's being copied. But let's say I wanted to modify this. Let's say I wanted, let's be a little daring here, and let's say I wanted it to be like this, where they are not attached. This is going to be a little strange. So if we wanted this to have its air placement, so we have three things of air. So let's get rid of all this real quick, and let's kind of start it over. So here is our key. So this is going to be the head predicate, which is going to be our summoning block, which doesn't quite exist yet. So, but we want to fill in our air. So let's say that we're going to have the same thing. So it's going to be air. I forgot what that is called, and then air. And then in the middle, it says that we are going to be using pound. So it is going to be an iron block. It's going to be air, iron block. And then at the bottom here, we want it to be iron block, iron block, iron block. So in this first example, let's open up the world and see how this is, see if this works. All right, so now let's grab our iron block, and we made the lovely pattern. So let's make the snow golem, because we didn't change the snow golem at all. And let's grab our summoning block and put on this on top. Bam, it still makes a snow golem, so we do know that the block is working. And then if we try and make an iron golem on here, and we put the summoning block, it says, whoa, I don't think that's the pattern. So let us, this is going to be a little weird, let's put a block in the back, let's put these in place, and then let me take care of that, put that there, and suddenly, whoa, even though there was some air in the way, that is the pattern it looks. So the answer is they do not actually have to be attached for them to work. It's actually better to do this on the ground. For this example, that is really interesting. All right, so let's, we're going to have 3 in the back, 2, and then if I need to make sure that I'm following that pattern, there it is. There's the iron golem. And you're going to notice something, that every time he spawns, he's not spawning by the headpiece. If I try and look back up a little bit, he should summon from this block right there. Let's boom, right there. See, I called it. Look at that. I'm a genius. Told you. And I'm gonna explain how that works in a minute. But you are noticing that we did make this pattern. But are we limited to? Wait, can I in click? I got this. Yeah, let's go. It's a breaking. Okay, never mind. So those are all working. Are we limited to just the 3x3? No. But I am going to show you something that is very important. So first, let's make a 4x4, and then let me show you something on why you would want to be careful with this kind of stuff. All right, so here we have our iron golem, and it says try spawn entity, and how I know it's going to be 2 blocks underneath the head is because there's this thing called the summoning spawn entity, and there's this thing called offset. So offset is set to down 2. And then there's this one called offset left is going to be 1. So generally what that offset 1 doesn't do anything simply because there's no reason to. It just summons in the middle, right? But if I said I want this to be 4, let's come down to our little golem pattern. And let's say I wanted there to be, let's say, well, let's add in, let's make it by 4. Let's make a 4 by 4. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now there's that. So let's take a look at our little key things here. And let's take this and we're going to control D. And so this is iron block. And let's make another block, and we're going to do, from here, let's do a mod block. Mod blocks, dot, and let's do the XP block because I want to. trying to show you something. These two cannot be the same if you're going to try to add something. So we're gonna have to give this another symbol. Let's make this the and sign because I feel like it. So with this in mind, let's say that I want to have on this pattern here, let's say I want the and sign to be here, and then I'm going to want the headpiece here. I'm going to want the block in here, 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 and maybe even a block in here. So now it is even bigger smile. And so now we also added in, the limitation is showing in two things, that you can make this any shape you want, and that you can use as many materials as you want. So let's summon this in the world and take a look. All right, here we are. We have a ton of iron golem just walking around. So let us get our XP block because we added it to our little thing. So let us say that I said I wanted it like this. I put in some more airspace, and then I said I wanted there to be the summoning block and the XP. I should have done it the other way. And then I summon this, and suddenly, whoa! Now, it offset it. It has to offset it by 1. Remember how I said the 1 doesn't do anything because it was like even? So now when I have here is the 4, and I put the block, I believe here. It put it down. It'll offset it if it has to. So no matter how I make this shape in the world, it's always going to work because I'm putting this block last after making the pattern. I'm trying to remember the pattern here. And then actually, see, there, now it offset it by 1. So it went 1, 2, and then offset it by 1 because this is not a symmetrical, well, it's symmetrical. It is not even, though. Or it's not odd. If it's odd, it knows to put it in the middle. If it's even, it'll offset it by 1 to the left, if so. It's based on the direction that it is created, though. So let's make something that is unsymmetrical and show how that, and we'll show how that could cause some problems, and I'll try and explain them the best I can. All right, so this is the pattern that I'm going to go with. So for an unsymmetrical thing. So technically, the previous pattern had symmetricalness to it, but it also didn't at the top. I think that if you have a reverse symmetrical, like, it'll work. So this one I know, so check this out. So I'm going to make 2 patterns that are basically exactly the same, because I'm going to make them back to back. And then on this side, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 over here. So now you would say that these two are exactly the same, but they are facing in different directions. I'm going to put this one here. Bam! There's a golem. And I'm going to put this one here. Oh no! There's not a golem. What happened? So the reason why things need to be symmetrical, it is only checking blocks going here and then going this way, rather than it checking this and then going this way. If they are, no matter what, symmetrically going through, like this. So if this is a no-go, because it needs to check this first, then, but if they're symmetrical, then it doesn't matter how, if it's checking this way or if it's checking this way, it's going to work because it's completely symmetrical. So that is somewhat of an idea. It has to deal with the checking. I have no idea how to explain it. I just know how to solve it. Not making it symmetrical. Making it symmetrical is the solution. So with that in mind, we have our summoning block, and then let's also do 2 things. Let's summon a mod entity, and let's give it a hopefully slightly more reasonable block. All right, so with that in mind, let's take a look at the code, and let's also try and make this work with a little bit different. I personally don't have, so you have your pattern, and then your dispenser pattern. So if you were to use a dispenser to dispense, I personally don't like this. I'm going to take it out. So there, it's gone now. Same thing for the iron or the snow golem. We're going to take that out. And if I come up, it's going to probably give me some broken codes here. Can dispense. So there's this one and this one. We're going to take that one out, and it's gone. And then so that means we don't need this nullable, and we're also not going to need this nullable either. So now we are left with two patterns. Let's say I didn't even want to use one at all, or let's say I wanted to keep it just one pattern. If you want to keep them both, that is perfectly fine. Just keep it like that. I'm going to just get rid of one of them. So let's get rid of the Iron Golem. It doesn't really matter which one. Because I could always turn the snow into Iron Golem or whatever I want. I would recommend that if you're deleting code, delete it from the bottom up, because when it starts getting used in methods, so there's these things called if-else statements, I would have to delete the if and not the else, and then turn the else into if. It is just much easier to just get rid of the else part of a statement. So deleting code, you should do it bottom up. So now we are left with this snow golem, and now we have our snow golem pattern. So just like the summoning block in the past, if I want to change the entity, I can do entity type, and I could do entermite like I did last time, but here we are going to be doing mod entities, plural, and then we don't have a snow golem, we have a much more even dangerous, we have the floofers. And then it's like, whoa, 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 this thing is broken, just like how it broke last time. So here we're going to have to call for the floofers entity, and now it says it's okay. And just like I said previously, let's take a look. Actually, we don't need the Iron Golem nullable. But let's take a look and Control F, and then let's look up snow. So this is going to have all of the snow words in it and all that kind of stuff. So snow golem. So here we're going to call this the floofer golem pattern. Over here, get, this is going to be FLU floofer golem pattern. So this is going to be the floofer golem entity. We're going to say it again here. Keep in mind of the first letter. If the first letter is lowercase, keep it lowercase. If the first letter is uppercase, keep it uppercase. And then here we're going to have the get snow golem pattern. And so we're going to do get floofer golem pattern, which so it can be used. And then these ones are all going to be lowercase. The FLU get floofer golem pattern. Wait, did it start with get? No, I didn't think so. This dot FLU floofer golem pattern. This dot floofer golem pattern. This dot I like how I said pay attention to the letter case, and then I messed it up. So these depend on the above. So if I just say floofer, the way it is supposed to be under lowercase, it's not going to take it because I changed this and made it uppercase, and this is supposed to be lowercase. So, oops. So now you can see that this is going. So this dot floofer golem pattern, this dot floofer golem pattern, and suddenly everything is fine. So let us make the actual pattern. You can compress it the way I had earlier, so every time it says .where, you can hit enter. I'm not going to do that. I am going to do is make this simply just 2 blocks. So we're going to have this be the head piece, and then this down here, we're going to say, we're going to keep it pound, but if we want to change it, we're going to have to change it down here. So where it says blocks.snow blocks, and then let's say, let's make this mod blocks. And then we could do dot, and then we could do, heck, XP block, because the floofers is actually colorful. So let's keep it like that. I don't think that's even obtainable in, because when you break it, it doesn't, it drops XP. So maybe let's not use that. Let's go back to blocks. Blocks dot, and then let's just say diamond ore, because not ore, diamond block, because I want to. But this will cause another problem. So the floofer is now takes 2 blocks to summon, but the offset is going to say put it 2 blocks down. So it is going to be, it's going to be here. it's going to be the thing, and it's most likely going to be placed on dirt, and so it's going to start suffocating in the dirt, and we don't want that. So all you have to do when you make it smaller is to just offset 1. And it'll just put it 1 down, and that should do that. If you want to do -1, it should put it 1 above the block. So offset is kind of important. But from here, we switched everything. Everything should be working. So now let's take a look and make sure it is working in the world. And then once I realize it is fully functional, we will give it a texture and then look at its brand and glory before we close the video. All right, here we are. We're just going to do a simple, we're going to do diamond block. Bam. We're going to put it on here. We're going to do here. And you'll notice it is not suffocating. I'm also going to lower the speed before I do anything else, because I'm going to try and, yeah. So he does exist. It is working. We're going to lower the speed, and then let's add all the special files for this. All right, so the block is perfect. It's coded. So let's get rid of that. And let us go into our, let's say, data gen, model provider. And then let's say I want to put a texture on all sides. And then we're going to call this texture the summoning block. Yay. All right. So that is in there. Do I want it to drop itself in the loot table provider? Absolutely. So we're going to go drop Control D. And then here we're going to do summoning block, so that'll make it so that it drops itself. It should, once again, like I said, it's going to break instantly, have the aggregate, so if you break it with your hand, it's perfectly fine. This is just so that if you accidentally mess it up or put it somewhere you're not supposed to, you can pick it up and try spawning whatever it is again. So, I do it all the time, but, so those two are in there, so we don't have to worry about block states. The lang file, we are going to have to add a lang into that. We're going to call this the summoning block, and then here we're going to call this the, and then summoning block, space. Perfect, so now that is in there, and that should be just about everything. Textures, do I want to be lazy and add a texture or not, or do I want to take something out of Minecraft? I don't know. Let's take a look at what kind of textures do I have? Do I have good ones? Do I have bad ones? I'm going to be lazy and use the XP block, because you can't stop me. So let's call this the summoning, summoning block. Perfect. So that is how that is going to be. We've already gone over things like recipes, loot tables, and stuff like that. So if you're still struggling, just kind of go through those videos again. I'm not going to make a loot table, but we are going to start getting some last files. I mean, really, the last things we're really going to be talking about beyond this, because this would be episode 48. Advancements, I'm going to dabble a little bit in, but before we get on to the next series, which is going to be a while, we're gonna talk about advancements, and then another thing that's going to be a long topic is talking about the basics of world generation. I'm not going to get into all of them because once again, when we get to 1.20 in that series, we're going to go heavy into data. So I will tell you how to make some simple stuff and how to try and work it out, but don't worry, we will go through a lot more detailed explanation in another video later. But between those two videos, there is the last conclusion video, which should be talking about how to build your jar file, how to update your mod from one version to the next version, because if you noticed, we are on 1.14.4, 1.19.4, but I'm still coding on 1.19.3, so in the conclusion, we are going to update this. That's going to be cool, but beyond that, let's run the data generation before we run the client. So while that's running in there, so the series is coming to an end. This one is all about copy casing. I mean, it's literally just copying code, modifying little things, and then we are going to start getting into the next series is going to be, so like, if you remember the first video where I talked about Minecraft format, and then this whole next series is going to be massive, and we're still not going to be talking about Minecraft format. It's going to be the one after that. So the second, so this is the first one. We're going to have a second one. The third one is going to be Minecraft format. I basically started the series and then changed what the series was going to be about Try and not do that. All right. Here we are. So we have the summoning block compared to our experience block. There is a grand difference. So if I put the XP block on, it won't do it. If I use the summoning block, bam, there it is. I forgot to make it slower, but that's okay. Maybe in a future video I will make it slower. But that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. And without further ado, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below.